That is easy work boxing. About to hit you everywhere but under your feet with this one. Got a video, you see the title, got to talk about Keith Thurman. This is Terence Crawford and a WBO title. Now, everybody know who watch my channel. I am a fan of Keith Thurman. That's one of my favorite fighters. No, that's my favorite fighter. And I don't on bandwagon. He is still my favorite fighter. But I heard this interview, and I'm going to let y'all hear some of it because this is what I heard from Fanning International Boxing. Shout out to Fanning International Boxing. But this is an interview where he's talking about what Keith Thurman said in the interview with the Zone.
So I do want to give you an apology for yesterday. The audio track was off, so there's like three.
Fast forward or something.
Go make the fight with Terence Crawford, and now that is something.
I don't know why when I get right there, I want to go straight to a video, but basically he talking about the fact that you know, this across the street talk.
You hear a lot of people make.
Terence Crawford is with Top Rank and Keith Thurman and the PBC fighters are with Al Heyman. Go to make a fight with them. Me personally, I'm using one. Coco, you changed your picture. I'm using one right now. But it's basically with Keith Thurman saying that there's no reason for them to go and fight Terence Crawford and that the WBO title is trash. And everybody, like I said, know that I'm a Keith Thurman fan, but I got to disagree with him. I don't know why the PBC fighters or people with Al Heyman them choose not to fight Terence Crawford. That should tell people something. This is why when it comes to Terence Crawford, this is the most difficult fight ever to make. That doesn't make sense. It don't make sense at all. If this were any other fight, any other fighter, they don't even mention him as the WBO title holder. They don't even mention him as a WBO title holder. Now, even on their videos, they fights on PBC, on Fox, they don't even mention Terence Crawford. But yet, all fights have been made years ago. Even from the Thriller Manila, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, whoever wanted to fight, fights been made. But for some reason, since Terence Crawford then showed up at 147, a fight can't be made for some reason because he with another promotional company. Now the WBO title don't exist. Now I know the WBO title didn't come till later on in the years after, you know, Lennox Lewis and the Mike Tyson era. It wasn't a big major belt. But at the same time, all that goes out the window when you need that belt to become an undisputed champion. So whatever Keith Thurman's opinion was about that WBO title, he said when he came to 147 or he started boxing at 147, he wanted to be undisputed. You can't be undisputed without the WBO title. So to say that that belt means nothing makes him look real bad at it right now. And I'm a fan. Y'all know that's my number one favorite fighter. But the truth is the truth. Now you dismiss the WBO title because Terence Crawford holds it. Now it ain't a legitimate belt. But you were a WBO, if I ain't mistaken, franchise, or not franchise, or interim title holder at 154, Keith Thurman. So if you didn't accept that belt then, or if you told them that's a belt that you don't want, then you could say that. But if they wrap the WBO belt around you at 154, you can't dare dismiss the WBO title. And plus, you still need that title today to be undisputed. But I'm a fan of Keith Thurman. I want Keith Thurman to come back and beat them all. But that was some bullshit. You know, I'm gonna keep it 100. But I gotta go back to Fanning, you know, on the situation.
I think that is, you know, it's not quite fair to either guy. I mean, it's not fair to the guys at PBC to say, hey, you know, we want you to fight Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford got himself into a situation where he's tied to a promoter and he's tied to a network. So you guys need to come up with some. You need to give.
Also, the people with the channels also are the people who keep broadcasting that Terence Crawford can't fight nobody because he was top ranked. I don't believe that's crazy as hell. Why is it just because he with another promotional company he can't go fight nobody? But his channels keep telling people this. His channels keep saying that. Right now, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury finna fight on February the 22nd. So why is it a problem when it comes to Terence Crawford? Why is it a problem when he with Top Rank? Tyson Fury is with Top Rank. Deontay Wilder is with Al Heyman promotion. So what's the problem? But when it comes to Terence Crawford, it's across the street talk. And channels, no disrespect to Fanning, when you mention somebody's name, they think you hating on him. But I ain't hating on him. He do good videos. But it's channels that promote that. This is why people every time commenting on your videos saying, oh, he across the street. Ain't no across the street. Money is money. You think they're going to miss out on $1 million fight? It's simply because another fighter is sitting there saying, I don't want to fight him. You think two promotional companies going to miss out on bread, $100 million fight? They can't make the fight if another fighter don't want it. But like I said, no disrespect to Fanning, but it's the channels that keep telling people this propaganda and bull that he crossed the street. Ain't no what's crossed the street. If that was the case, everybody would be with one promotion company, right? If that's the case, can't nobody fight nobody from another side. It's PBC fighters who done win and fought. It's top ranked fighters who done win and fought on the zone. So you have to read in between the lines on who just. You see, because eventually somebody gonna come up with a video next that Terence Crawford is ducking Errol Spence Jr. and everybody know that's a lie for real. But we're gonna keep going with the video.
Turn to negotiations with somebody that might ultimately cost you a little money in order for us to get the fights because the responsibility is on you for what he did. And see, that's my take on it. As far as like the necessity for one guy to go out of their way to try to fight the other guy. As it relates to like the promotional thing. I want to see the fights, but just when people make that argument, it sounds funny to me. And Keith Thurman brought up the point, and I thought he made a pretty persuasive argument. It's like, oh, we got to go over there. Yeah, some of us have more flexible deals.
Not the Mayweather era. Mayweather is to blame.
Terence Crawford, from what I understand, does not have a network deal. Vasily Lomachenko doesn't have a network deal at ESPN. He has a deal with Top Rank. ESPN. There's been several Top Rank fighters that have gone over to fight on DAZN. Jose Ramirez fought on DAZN. Lomachenko fought on DAZN. Now, I have a hard time.
So why can't Terence Crawford go and fight on PBC? What's the problem with him fighting on PBC?
Or Jose Ramirez can go over to DAZN, but Terence Crawford can't go over to Fox or can't go over to Showtime. I do want to correct the record on that. I've never heard about Terence Crawford having a network deal. I know Terence Crawford has a promotional deal. But what Sean Porter said, Keith Thurman said, hey, why would... Yeah, some of us have more flexibility than Terence Crawford does, but why should we go over there for one guy? For one guy, started listing off the fights.
Keith Thurman to go over there because you don't have a title. Because you don't have a title, and because he dogging people at 147 and he want to fight you. That's why you should go over there. You's the same person telling Paulie Malignaggi not to duck you. You the same person saying you Keith one-time Thurman. But when it comes to Terence Crawford, it's a problem.
With Showtime or with the PBC, which is Fox and Showtime. He said, if I want to, I can fight Danny, I can fight Sean, I can fight Manny, I can fight Bronner, I can fight
all PBC fighters. I can fight, man. Why won't you simply just fight Terence Crawford, Keith Thurman? Why won't you fight Terence Crawford? You can mention all them names. You willing to do repeats. You was the same person saying before this man came to 147 that he ain't did nothing. He got to show and prove that he a legitimate 147 pounder. He came in there and got a title his first fight, and he done stopped every fighter he done been fought at 147. And you still won't step up to the plate. You still saying you will go down the line and fight PBC fighters before you fight Terence Crawford. If that ain't ducking, I don't know what ducking is. And y'all got to remember, this is my favorite fighter, and I'm putting him on blast. That's ducking.
Errol Spence. I could fight Ugas. He said, and if I feel like it, I could fight Mikey Garcia. That's 7 guys that he named off, 7 fights that he could make without having to go and enter into a contract negotiation with Bob Arum.
But why not?
And he says,
what if Bob Arum give you good money? Why not even think about taking the offer? You see what I'm saying? This is a duck. This ducking. You ain't even willing to listen. What if Bob Arum told you he give you $10 million to fight Terence Crawford? You don't even want to listen to that either. You don't even want to go step across the bridge for that. They don't want to fight him. This is my favorite fighter. They don't want to fight him. It's right there. Ain't no across the street. That's what these channels keep telling you. No disrespect to Fanny. I ain't, but the truth is the truth.
Not my fault that I've got all of these options over here in the PBC, but you want me to go over there and enter negotiations with another network for one guy. But then the killer was, he said, and if you know what you're talking about in boxing, you know that we call the WBO the WB no.
This is what I was talking about.
Nobody wants that belt. So now when he called it the WB no, this is why I thought that was interesting. And it's
because he had one at 154.
If you recall, Lennox Lewis, I think it was it might have been either Jim Gray or Steve Farhood. I can't remember which one. I conflate those two guys oftentimes, man. But yeah.
Basically, this is what he's saying in this part of the video. He basically breaking it down how I explained in the beginning of my video that they were saying that the WBO title is not a legitimate title because it came in the later stages of boxing. Okay, that's all good and well. I understand that some fighters was undisputed without the WBO. But in today's time, in 2020, and even beyond 2020 years, you have to have the WBO title to be undisputed champion of the world. So this right here is irrelevant. However, Lennox Lewis felt, which Lennox Lewis said he would have went and got the belt if he knew it would have been a legitimate title like that. But however they talk about it, it's irrelevant. It's legitimate now. You can't be undisputed without the WBO title. So Keith Thurman saying that this belt means nothing is crazy as hell. That's basically what I'm making this video about. And like I gotta tell you, this is my #1 fighter. For people who think I criticize your favorite fighter, this is my favorite fighter, and I'm getting on his ass because this was crazy as hell for him to say.
It was either Steve Farhood or Jim Gray. More than likely, it was Steve Farhood that talked about.
Fanny got. I need to know how to do this. He got about 100 commercials. Every time you turn around, cross the street, he signed this.
Talked about
Errol Spence signed it himself.
Listing the last undisputed champions, and somebody left Lennox Lewis off that list.
I'm gonna skip past this. But I basically just told you.
It's because it's closely associated to Top Rank, and Top Rank was touting it as a championship belt, and Top Rank has its fighters fight for that belt and as a result pay the sanctioning fees for that belt. But it was not a belt for the vast majority of the time that I've been watching boxing. Anybody considered it to be a major belt. It's very much.
It came like after the 90s, y'all. I don't know why they trying to act like it was the 80s or something. It came like early 90s, the WBO title.
I've got 4 belts. When Anthony Joshua beat Joseph Parker, all of a sudden he had 4 belts. I've got 4 belts. How many belts does Deontay Wilder has? Deontay Wilder only has 1. I've got 4 belts. Well, he's counting the IBO, and there's nobody out there that considers the IBO to be a major championship belt.
First of all, and let me say this also, a unified champion ain't shit. That's just a nigga walking around with a bunch of titles who ain't undisputed. He beat some other title holders. That's good and that's all great. But until you undisputed, unified don't mean shit. Okay? For those that don't know, for the casual boxing, just because you unified don't mean you the man. You gotta go get all the belts.
But with those sanctioning bodies, it's kind of like that. If you keep saying it long enough,
Who name was the untouchable?
People are going to start believing it, and you have people who start paying attention to boxing, you know, relatively recently. And from the time that they're paying attention to boxing, they hear the WBO is a major championship belt, and it just comes to be that way, right? And that is what why I believe that Keith Thurman, well, the beginning, what is it? That's the source or the beginning of that idea that the WBC isn't, it's just not. It's not something that people are going out of their way looking for. It's not, if there's, of all the four belts, man, the major championship belts, it's the one that's least credible. And
let me say that for what Fannin just said. So if you win a WBO title, that makes you what? A title holder, right? Right? Just like you holding a WBC, a WBA, a IBF, right? You paying a sanction fee. Just like you paying for the WBC, the WBA. So that means what? That is a legitimate belt. So I gotta disagree with Fannin and anybody else who agree with what Keith Thurman said and what Fannin is saying. I ain't sure if Fannon's saying that like that, but I don't know if he's agreeing with Keith. But if he's agreeing with Keith, they both wrong. Because there's no way you can sit up there and say that this is not a legitimate belt when they paying sanctioning fees. You see what I'm saying? When you can't, if you can't be undisputed without that title. I'm starting to too.
For me, the reason, aside from the reason it was the last come around, the reason why I find that belt to be the least credible is because it's the one that is most clearly political. And you can look up and down the WBO rankings. The WBO rankings are pretty much good for what it's good for right now.
So you gonna say that the WBO title, you don't consider that to be real because the situation that's going on behind it? Let me remember your exact word. Oh, it's political. The WBO is political. So you mean to tell me the WBC ain't political? The WBC ain't political. Which much stuff they do. Franchising, making franchise belts, giving fighters titles to duck, but they ain't political. But you'll say that the WBO is not legitimate because they political. But the WBC do the same thing. The WBA do the same thing. They create belts for people to duck.
Look up and down the WBO rankings. The WBO rankings are pretty much good for
the IBO is like
now, is
a Gucci belt.
Breaking up undisputed championships. Because the WBO, you have up and down is top rank, it's Golden Boy.
Hold up. And it's something else that he doing. And shout out to Fannin, no disrespect. I keep it 100. I'm just pointing that something out. He keep mentioning that the top rank, that the WBO is associated with top rank. That when that belt first started, it was associated with top rank. That still is irrelevant. That still has nothing to do with the fact that you need that title to be undisputed. So whether it came from Top Rank, whether it came from Don King Promotions, whether it came from anywhere else, you still need that title to be a legitimate undisputed fighter. So this is irrelevant. This is nothing but propaganda for people to keep believing the across the street story. Oh, don't go fight Terence Crawford because that's a top rank belt. Don't don't waste your time going to fight a former undisputed champion because that's a top ranked title. That's dumb as hell.
Most significantly, it is the whatever Bob orders belts. You can see like Terence Crawford was the WBO champion at 135 pounds. Then he became the WBO champion at 140 pounds. Became the WBO champion at 147 pounds. He got that WBO belt at 147 pounds right now. When he goes say he goes to 154 or whatever he does and he doesn't have it, you can bet your bottom dollar.
They stopping this man greatness. They don't want him to be undisputed in two weight classes. They know what's gonna happen.
You can bet a good amount.
They know he that'll whoop ass.
He's gonna go to another top ranked fighter, and you
yeah,
that on top
I know.
The fact that that people don't really respect the WBO because it's so political, and the fact that there's so many options.
But this something I have to talk about what I want to talk about, Ebo.
That has to force Terence Crawford's hand, but Terence Crawford won't do it. Go fight Sean Porter. Sean Porter, beating Sean Porter will give him the credibility that he needs.
Fighting Sean Porter, it's a name, but it's not a title. It's a name, it's not a title. Ain't no point in fighting Sean Porter right now. Well, now all I got is to fight two more people and be undisputed. People keep talking about get him for a night. Even I said that on the video. But right now, why would I waste my time? Why would I waste my time? It don't make sense. But I had to make this video. I saw the fan, and I had to show proof that somebody, made a video about this, so nobody didn't think that I was just making up something. But I totally disagree with Keith Thurman, and I totally disagree with Fanning on this. At the end of the day, the WBO title is necessary to be great. So everything else is irrelevant. It's Easy Work Boxing. Thank you for your time. You please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. If you'd like to donate, go to community. You know where to donate. I'm out.